Does strategy really matter in amateur tennis? Probably not as much as you might think. So in today's video, let's discuss it. So a few days ago, I made a post asking for your guys' help on topics to cover here on the channel. And unsurprisingly, one of the more common threads that came up is strategy. What strategies are pros using, kind of like we have some sort of secret that we're keeping hidden away from you guys. But when it comes to amateur tennis, I find that strategies can often be very restrictive. I don't like the little playbook of, play here, play there, here's a little play, here's a little play, because for the most part, it tends to become forced and players are going for certain shots for the sake of going because that's the right strategy, but they're not making great decisions. So in my opinion, the more important thing is to continue to explore and define your identity on court and how you like to play your game. I think something you might relate to is that feeling of just not being in your own rhythm, even though you're maybe trying to implement a strategy, but that strategy doesn't play into your strengths and you're sort of that gray area of not being fully committed to what you're doing and not being like really part of your identity. And it's a fine line to thread. So that if that's something you felt, let's explore that a little bit today. I think there's a misconception, right, between strategy and style. Here's a bit of a hard truth. Most amateurs think that great strategy is what separates winners from losers. And at the highest level, again, at the highest level when the margins are so thin, you obviously need to find those advantages. But the reality is strategies are situational, where your identity is structural. It's the foundation of your game. Until you know how you play, every game plan is just rearranging puzzle pieces without knowing the picture. Let's forget tennis for a second. Think about any game that you play, just like a board game. Like you're playing Catan or something. Like everyone is gonna have a bit of a different strategy on how they play that game. The more you play that game, the more you kind of gonna figure out your own way of doing it. It might be a little bit wrong, but you're gonna play to your style. And I think that's the fun part about playing any game. Don't forget, tennis is still just a game. So as you build your identity on court, don't be afraid to be predictable. It's okay to be predictable because that means they know you for something. It's their problem to deal with what you do. Doesn't matter what that is, you just chip slices and play heavy forehand and you're just annoying to play with. It doesn't matter if you're a pusher, if you just attack him, you're either hitting a winner or making a mistake. It doesn't matter. It's your game and it's their obligation to figure out a solution. Let's take a quick example. One of the greatest of all time, Nadal. I love using him as an example because he was so clear with what he did, right? When he stepped on the court, there weren't any surprises. Everyone knew exactly what was coming. Now, he obviously, throughout his career, improved around the edges, right? Started maybe a little bit more defensive, and as he kind of got older, he became a lot more offensive, and he added layers to his game because he's a ridiculous tennis player. But fundamentally, his meat and potato was, that dominating with the forehand, getting that ball to jump high to the back and being relentless at chasing down balls. Like he changed, but he also kind of stayed the same, if that makes sense. And even though everyone knew what was coming, it was nearly impossible to get out of his control of the match. Now again, once you're competing with someone right around your level and higher than your level, you're going to have to make some slight adjustments and maybe do certain uncomfortable things. But by no means you should feel like you need to be this like tennis chameleon. You're always adapting to every player. Now, maybe one of you is like that. Maybe one of you have this innate talent at doing that. And if you do, comment below and go at it. I would love to see that. For the most part, that's not the case. So there's no point in forcing that sort of chameleon-like quality. And guys, just a quick break here to thank today's video sponsor, Mave. Might not look like it right now, but River here loves this new sponsor. And so does that guy. As my dogs approach midlife, they're both 5 years old already. I want to make sure they stay healthy for as long as possible. They're both good adventure dogs, so we want to keep that up. That's why I started feeding them Mave. It's human-grade raw food made with real whole ingredients, not the processed stuff. You keep it in the freezer, put it straight into their bowl, and they absolutely love it. And I can actually see what's in it, which gives me a lot of peace of mind. As this guy has gotten a little lazier with age, I need to make sure he's not putting on some pounds, which he did recently, huh? But he's back on the right diet and he's looking really good, real trim, right, Rivy? And Mave has helped a lot with that. If you want to try Mave for your dog, there's a link in the description that gets you 30% off your first order, or you can use code KARU at checkout. Go check Mave out, link in the description. A big one is the environment you grow up in. For example, I grew up in Brazil. I played on red clay for 95% of the tournaments in my life up until I played college tennis. One thing that we trained relentlessly when we grew up was playing with heavy topspin to the backend. Trying to play high and heavy to the backend. That was the best way to dominate a match because you're gonna get more forehands. But if you know me, if you know my style, that's not necessarily how I like to play, right? I don't like to let the ball drop and send it with a lot of arc. I like to take the ball on the rise. I like to drive it through the court. But even though I like to play my game that way, growing up on clay, it forced me to kind of adapt to that a little bit. I wanted to succeed, I wanted to win matches. So I needed to play smarter, play the angles better, learn how to drop shot, be more of an all-court player, and then transfer those skills into hard court, which I think it's an easier transition than the other way around. But remember, that was purely decided by the fact that I grew up in Brazil and most of my training and competing was there, and there was not much I can do about that. So before you're even able to develop strategies to beat players, that foundation needs to be in place. I need to first kind of learn all the rules of tennis kind of that way, so then I can start breaking them and mold them to my style. So I want you to think about this. From my experience, my own experience and my experience around tennis players in general, your kind of on-court identity will mirror your personality outside of the court. I'm by nature not a huge risk taker. I'm not in the stock market trading options. I'm not going to Vegas to gamble all the time. I like good, managed, calculated risks. And if you've seen me on court, that's a bit of my game as well. I'm at my best when I'm playing consistent, aggressive, but controlled aggression tennis where I kind of slowly suffocate the player. I'm not just like blowing them out of the court with sheer power and risk taking. And that's both a strength and a limitation. Sometimes it stops me from taking the shot that is there to be taken, that I should have taken it looking back. And that's the constant fight that I have between not allowing myself, my personality to go too much into my tennis, but also not deviating from it as well, like to a point where everything just feels out of control. And so the goal is to understand who you are that way and turn that into an advantage. So for example, I like to play very unstructured tennis, like kind of free, kind of just aware of any little moment that I can get ahead and take advantage of something. I'm more like right side of the brain that way, but you might be completely different. You might just be a statistical genius and you like the patterns, you like to see the game a certain way. Allow that to be your sort of guiding light towards your style on the court. It's okay. I mean, don't go full out there, but allow that to happen. Don't fight it too much. So that's what I believe, that you should lean into what comes naturally to you. Now, I'm not saying that's easy. It requires a little bit of introspectiveness and self-awareness. But I think, if you're out here on YouTube looking for these things, you're already in the right track. You just, needed a nudge in the right direction. So yeah, strategy matters, but it kind of doesn't matter. I'm sorry, it's like an open-ended thing, but in amateur tennis, I really don't believe it's that big of a factor when it comes to winning or losing. I think the main thing is you guys just don't have that much time to be on court, and that's okay. You're not pros, you shouldn't be on court that much. Spending that time kind of developing your own style and being relentless at that versus being too worried about how to play each person you're playing will be time better spent. It's okay to be predictable that way, because predictable means you're really good at doing at least one thing on court, and that in itself will already create a lot of fear on the other side. So thanks for watching. Let me know how you're liking this quick episodes here. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys on the next one.